Hey there smartphone fans, welcome back for another honest hands-on review. And if you're looking for which Xiaomi flagship to buy, the Mi Note 3 or the Mi Mix 2, I might have the answer for you in my detailed, in-depth, hands-on comparison review of both devices at once. And let's meet our contestants. In the left corner, the Mi Note 3 with the Snapdragon 660, dual cameras, bigger battery and front fingerprint scanner, but a more practical and outdated design with a glass and metal body. And on the right corner you have the Mi Mix 2, an 18:9 6-inch display monster with Snapdragon 835, rear fingerprint scanner, ceramic body and a single main camera. And both phones don't come with expandable storage or a 3.5mm headphone jack. And main performance difference is the different Snapdragon chips, but both come with 6GB of RAM and 64GB of onboard storage and even more. But first let's take a look at the design of the two phones. Looking at them from the side, both phones actually look very similar, but the Mi Mix 2 has the ceramic body, rear fingerprint scanner and the single camera, while the Mi Note 3 has the dual cameras, front fingerprint scanner and metal and glass body. And both phones actually are very good looking, as you can see. Both are shiny and very eye-catching, but the Mi Mix 2 definitely takes the cake with the 18:9 full display aspect ratio and almost bezel-less design. And let's talk more about the differences on both devices. And let's start with the front camera, as the Mi Note 3 packs 16MP front sensor, which is located where it usually is, on the top left, and the Mi Mix 2 has a smaller 5MP front camera that's on the bottom right. As I said, from the side both phones look very similar, and on the back as well, unless you look at them closely. The Mi Note 3 is a more curved design and the Mi Mix 2 is a more rectangular one. But as I said, both devices actually look stunning, with the Mi Mix 2 having a ceramic body which is better and more durable, but the metal and glass is still very good, and it's actually lighter than the ceramic Mi Mix 2, and the Mi Mix 2 weighs 170 grams, while the Mi Note 3 weighs just over 150. One of the oldest debates is which fingerprint scanner actually is better, the back one or the front one. Well, here both sensors are actually very fast and accurate, so you won't have any troubles with any one of them, which you use just amazingly fast to unlock. But it goes to the person who's using it. I actually do prefer the front fingerprint scanner of the Mi Note 3, but that's sacrificing the full display feature, as you can't have a fingerprint scanner on the front and have the 18:9 bezel-less display. Comes to the software, that both phones are running MIUI very much absolutely alike, and I've changed the Mi Note 3 theme just so that you can definitely tell that it's the Mi Note 3 on the left. And in round 2 we have the performance round. With the Mi Note 3 actually being $100 cheaper than Mi Mix 2, it does have to sacrifice a bit of the high-end chip, and it offers the Snapdragon 660 instead of the Snapdragon 835. However, both devices come with 6GB of RAM, 64GB of onboard storage, running the latest Android Nougat, having absolutely all the sensors you ever need from any flagship phone, and having very actually good displays. The biggest differences in both phones, besides the display and performance chips, is the cameras, but we'll get to that later in my camera segment where I compare both cameras. But as far as specs goes, both devices are top notch, but as you can see, the Snapdragon 835 clearly is ahead with 3D performance and a bit of CPU performance. However, all those benchmarks are just a bit superficial. What really matters is that the Mi Mix 2 actually packs faster storage, and as you can see in the Geekbench, the actual difference in CPU is very small, as is in PCMark 2.0. When it comes to battery life, both devices I found actually deliver on par battery life with one another. I couldn't tell which one was better. Both devices deliver around 6 to 7 hours of screen on time on single charge, which is great for a flagship device. Both devices offer quick charge 3.0 support, but the supply chargers inside them don't, so you get around 2 hours to charge the full phone. But if you haven't have a quick charge 3.0 charger lying around, you can charge it in just an hour and a half. And next is a test that loads different games, very heavy games from the Android Play Store, and see which device actually loads them faster. And this test is actually much more better than showing you gameplay from both devices, because I've downloaded all the heavy games I can think of from the Android Play Store and run them on both devices, and they absolutely run alike. Nobody can tell the difference between the Adreno 512 and the 540 in the games that currently are on the Play Store. Both devices deliver 60 frames per second crisp gaming performance with no dropped frames and no slowdowns, no lag at all. So instead of using both devices to play games side by side, I've decided to actually do tests that really matters, and this is the time it takes to load those heavy games. And again, curiously, the Snapdragon 660 and the 835 are super close to one another when it comes to performance. Like, the difference is really super minimal. But since this is a flagship device we're talking about, you need more future-proofness in gaming, and if you're the heavy 3D gamer type of guy who wants your phone to run the latest games 2-3 years in advance, I definitely advise you to go with the Mi Mix 2, not only because the 18:9 provides a better gaming immersion, but because the Snapdragon 835's Adreno 540 offers almost twice the theoretical gaming performance. But currently, as I said, on the Play Store there isn't a game that can actually even stress to the fullest the Adreno 512 in the Snapdragon 660. So currently the Snapdragon 660 is absolutely, in real life performance, gaming, anything, just as good as a Snapdragon 835. But will it be in a year and a half later on? That's something that's really up for debate. But currently, as you can see, everything runs smooth on both devices. And next up we have the opening apps test between the Mi Note 3 and the Mi Mix. I will open a series of apps and see whichever loads them first. Both phones actually performed insanely good in multitasking. I've almost never had any app or game reload on this device with 6 GB of RAM, so excellent RAM management on both devices. Really can't tell anything apart from them. If you didn't know which device it was, you definitely couldn't tell which was the Mi Note 3 and which was the Mi Mix 2, because of that very similar Android experience and very fast blazing performance with anything absolutely you can think of. This is performance up to par with the OnePlus 5, with the Samsung S8 and any other flagship there on the market. So both devices, when it comes to gaming and performance, are really top notch, and currently there really isn't any difference between them whatsoever. But what about the display quality? Is the Mi Mix 2 and the Mi Note 3 any difference between using both displays in direct sunlight or in the house? And I've set both displays side by side for you to view that, but in my general experience I can tell you that both IPS displays deliver very good performance as far as an LCD can do. It would have really been great at this price point for Xiaomi to offer an AMOLED display, but some people, me including, do prefer the more natural colors of the LCD, and both devices have very good sunlight visibility and brightness. Almost you can't tell them apart. Again, good deep blacks, good color reproduction, good sunlight visibility, a really flagship worthy display. And for me, the difference, if there really is any difference, is that I think the Mi Mix 2 just barely edges the Mi Note 3 when it comes to maybe a bit more saturation in the colors and a bit more deeper blacks. But this is really talking about like a 5% difference in real life as far as my own eyes can tell. And I've again set the display side by side so you can view so yourself and decide. But for me, both displays are actually brilliant displays and flagship worthy. Of course, both displays are also covered with Gorilla Glass 4 and they are scratch resistant. But the Mi Mix 2 naturally has a feature that the Mi Note 3 doesn't, and this is the new 18:9 aspect ratio. And unless you're not viewing an 18:9 content like we're doing right here, you will not get that, and you get some borders and the displays will look exactly the same. But playing 18:9 content really brings that immense, excellent immersion that you get with the Samsung S8 on the Mi Mix 2. And next up we have a speaker quality test. And for my grand finale, we have the camera comparison test between the Mi Mix 2 and the Mi Note 3. But first we start with the camera specs, as the Mi Note 3 is a more heavy hitter when it comes to the cameras, packing dual cameras and much better front camera on paper. The Mi Note 3 has very fast shutter speed and also features that second telephoto camera for portrait modes, and both cameras are active as well for optical zoom 2 times without loss of quality, and has a full-blown manual mode with lots of features, time-lapse and slow motion, as well as 4K video recording from the main camera. The Mi Note 3 camera features an OIS 4-axis and the stabilization is really good. Here let me show you zoomed in even really close. You can definitely see that the video quality is not shaky at all, even when zoomed in very close. A very good camera. And when it comes to the Mi Mix 2, Mi Mix 2 offers the same sensor, same optical stabilization, but smaller aperture, and the sensor actually works really well. Focusing speed is again blazing fast. You can adjust exposure, have full manual mode, time-lapse and very good slow motion 4K video recording. But since the sensor is, I think, a little bit lower in class, the 4K video gets a bit shaky when you try to zoom it up close. As you can see here, see, I've not even zoomed that far and it's now even a bit too shaky for shooting regular video, and it's still a pain for me with the front cameras. You always have to flip the phone when you want to use it. But when it comes to photos, the Mi Mix 2 delivers absolutely outstanding photos with the main camera. Very top notch, very flagship worthy in my book, okay, good, very good, and even not so good lighting conditions. Very good color production, images are saturated, great dynamic range. This is a very fine camera phone with very good low light performance, but definitely not to the par with HTC U11 and Samsung S8. As you can see that the low light shots do have a bit of noise and lower ISO, but the front camera for me is definitely not flagship worthy of the Mi Mix 2. Definitely don't get that if you're like a selfie obsessed or you want a great selfie game from your smartphone, but at least the sensor offers good low light performance. And when it comes to the Mi Note 3, yes, this is the much better camera phone between the two of them. Not just because that's great portrait modes like the Xiaomi Mi 6, but because the front camera is like leagues better and definitely flagship worthy. You can get a great selfie anywhere, even if it does have low light. But back to the main sensor is the same, but does have larger aperture, so that means more light comes through. And in outside in lighting conditions, the photos from the Mi Note 3 are absolutely incredible and up to par with any flagship you put out there. It's just, you have great detail and absolutely no overexposure, amazing sensor, and as the light goes down it still delivers absolutely great photos and much better low light performance than the Mi Mix 2 and some other phones on the market, but just falls short of Google Pixel when it comes to low light performance. And now let's wrap it all up for the Mi Note 3 versus Mi Mix 2. So whichever device you end up getting between both devices, I'm pretty sure you'll definitely be satisfied with, but I have to tell you the pros of each device. The Mi Mix 2 offers an incredible display, it's very future-proof for gaming. Snapdragon 835 offers better Bluetooth range than the Snapdragon 660, I've tested that ceramic body and it does have better sounding speakers. But if you're looking for that lighter, more practical front fingerprint scanner phone with much better cameras, then the Mi Note 3 is definitely the device for you. And I've really had a blast using both devices. They're really flagships, very premium quality, blazing fast performance, great fuel, great build quality, amazing devices. It's just that me as a more practical person and a smartphone camera enthusiast, I would definitely pick the Mi Note 3 out of the two, since I'm not a gaming type. But if you're more the gaming type and definitely hungry for the best performance out there on the market and the best display, the Mi Mix 2 is the phone for you. This has been Steven Fox. Thank you for watching my Xiaomi Mi Note 3 versus Mi Mix 2 video review. Give the video a thumbs up if you like it, subscribe to my channel for more honest hands-on reviews.
Stick around.